This segment of Delmarva Life is brought to you by the Car Store's Auto World Service and Accessory Center.
Well, just in case you hadn't noticed, Mother Nature is really starting to turn up the heat.
Oh, yeah.
And that's when a lot of us want to stay cool, especially when the mercury climbs into those high digits.
Ugh. And your vehicle also needs to be ready to handle the scorching summer. So Brian Spires went to Auto World Service and Accessories in Salisbury to find out what you should be paying close attention to.
There are those hot days when you can see the heat radiating off the road, and you want to make sure your vehicle can handle the extreme weather.
There's nothing worse than breaking down when it's 97 degrees outside.
Brian Bishop is with Auto World Service and Accessories in Salisbury. He has some maintenance tips everyone should take into consideration this time of year. First, make sure your coolant levels are where they should be.
It used to be coolant you did every 30,000 miles, the green stuff as we used to call it. But now there's oranges and there's reds and there's different types of extended life coolant that are specifically designed for the engine that is in the car. So it's probably best to have it tested by a professional that's going to be able to actually see with its hydrometer or whatever else they're using to test it to know exactly the condition of the coolant.
And while we're talking under the hood, it wouldn't hurt to make sure everything is in tip-top shape.
To me, hoses and belts are essential so you don't break down. Nothing worse than if you're driving down the road and your hose blows at 97 degrees and you're left with an overheated engine on the side of the road, or you're at a stoplight somewhere and your belt breaks and you can't go anywhere and traffic's backing up behind you. So that would not make for a fun summer trip. So definitely make sure those things are in working order.
When the temperatures climb into the 90s or even the triple digits, you'll depend on the air conditioner to keep you cool. Brian says if your AC isn't working right, you'll know.
When you had a car for a few years, even a few months, if there's any kind of variance in how you feel on a 95-degree day, you know there's something up. But what we end up doing, you can test output at the vents, and you should have a certain degree difference between the outside temperature versus the temperature that's coming out of the vent. But you can also do a pressure test to make sure that the actual Freon levels are correct. Air conditioning is one of the more regulated things in the automobile repair business. You actually have to be certified by the state and by the government in order to be able to work on air conditioning, because Freon can cause damage if it's released into the atmosphere. That's why they've changed to different Freon over the years. But you definitely want to have a professional tackle any repair on air conditioning.
Besides the AC, the comfort of your drive is also important. For that, Brian says, pay attention to your tires.
It's like anything, things that contract and cold, expand and heat, so your pressures can change based upon the temperature variance. And think about it in terms of like racing tires. Think about how hot those tires get on the track and how many times they have to change them. And of course, it's a different application, but the principle is the same. Making sure your tires are properly pressurized, making sure that they're proper alignment, all those things are essential in order for you to have a comfortable and safe ride.
Now let's talk about your gas tank. When it's hot out, try to make sure it doesn't go below the halfway point.
On a hot summer day, you want to keep things cool. That's why you have the right coolant level. It's the same with your fuel tank. Inside your fuel tank is an electronic fuel pump, and part of the that's used to keep it cool is the actual fuel in the tank. So if you keep letting the fuel level go below E or just at that line all the time, you're overheating your fuel pump because the fuel is not in the tank to basically keep it a little cooler than it would be.
Some additional tips: have your air filter checked and replace it with a new one if it's time. And you'll also want to make sure the windshield wipers are doing their job right. And if you plan on taking a road trip this summer, Brian says a remote starter may be a good option for your car. Many people think of them in the winter, but in the summer, they're also convenient.
You can start the car a few minutes, go ahead and get your air conditioning running before you get in the car so the seats don't, burn you when you're wearing your shorts. It's pretty awesome.
Because after all, you don't want the heat of the summer to aggravate you. The goal is to enjoy it.
Brian also says you should get your battery checked. Extreme heat is not good for it. And as always, stay off your phone when behind the wheel. Installing a Bluetooth device can let you talk to someone using your car speakers without having to take your eyes off the road. Very important. Now, the Bluetooth isn't the only way to improve your driving experience.
How about a few other high-tech additions to consider for when you hit the road?
Car manufacturers are always trying to make a better product.
In one way, we want to expand the notion of automotive safety.
One new safety technology is inflatable seatbelts. The belts act as an airbag and can prevent seatbelt syndrome, where organs, muscles, and spines are injured by the belt in severe crashes. First offered in Ford's 2011 Explorers, now other companies plan to add the option. Each year, over 4,000 pedestrians die from being hit by a car, but the dynamic spotlight could lower that risk. Launched this year by BMW, the infrared camera mounted behind a car's grille can recognize the outline of a person and then signal the headlights to focus on them.
Now, I personally like to drive, but maybe you don't. Well, how about this? A car driven by a computer is in the works. It's meant to cut out human error and allow for a more relaxed driving experience.
But the technology for that is not quite finished yet. So self-driven cars won't be seen in the market for quite some time. That's okay. I don't know. I'm a control freak in that aspect.
Yeah, if I was behind the wheel, I couldn't let go of it. However, there are times with my teenage son in the car that I might like it. Especially if I can make tweaks to the system. That'd be okay with me.
I just want the flying cars. Weren't we supposed to have flying cars by now? What happened to that? Well, now that the car is ready to go, it's time for summer vacation still ahead on Delmarva Life. That means you may be looking for somewhere to go with the kids or the entire family.
Brian's going to take us to Midway Speedway Park in Rehoboth Beach to show us some of the ways you can stay cool and have fun in the process. Delmarva Life will be right back.